the people there have to figure out how to parse and process unfathomable
But
content.
you're saying you're putting it in a recycling bin or trash bin?
It's in the trash.
Okay.
But it's just a single stream is its own issue.
Okay.
And that's separate.
Can I just make one more
How do we
complaint
know
about
who's
people with
logged
dogs?
in,
Apologies
or-
if anybody has a
Certainly no
dog.
one can
But I
have a
live in this
shared
neighborhood,
Okay.
and it baffles me how much dog urine is
Okay.
on the sidewalk.
So I know.
Like on any given day, I'll be walking down the street and I'll see 6 dogs
Yeah, I
peeing
gotta go share
right
it.
on the
Oh, sharing
sidewalk,
it.
like on the building,
great,
on the
okay.
parking meter, and I'm
And
just
I was
like,
gonna say in
how
Slack
is that
that they are
acceptable
meeting
to just
So
dogs
sort
pee
mad.
everywhere?
Can you do
If there were people
Yeah.
peeing
No, you're
everywhere,
doing it.
people would get pissed
No,
off.
that's
But there are dogs peeing.
Those are called
Okay.
mummers.
Alright.
And we try to constrain it to one day.
So
And I'm like, I don't get it.
I feel for you, and this is
And,
not going to make you feel
and
any
St.
better.
Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
But quantity-wise, it pales in comparison to what the squirrels are doing on the sidewalks.
Oh yeah, probably. But it's like, I'm like, what's gonna happen in the summertime when it's hot out and there's just dog pee all over the street? It's gonna.
Have you seen the pea blocks when it snows? If it's only like 2 inches deep, the snow turns yellow from the ground up. Not from getting peed on, but from soaking up what's already there.
Oh God, why are we talking about this? I did
Yeah,
not
sorry,
know
just a
that.
complaint I had.
I thought this was a
I
requirement.
thought this was a
for
B
that.
Corp.
First start getting grossed out, and then you want to fix everything, so you get B Corp certified. I'm gonna call it the B Corp certification commiseration. Starting a committee. There we go. What is this area called?
Gallery.
Okay. So if you don't have, so I'm really not qualified to do what we're doing here, or to like be a leader. I'm like, oh great. So I'll just preface it with that. But I did go to the Sustainable Business Network had an event where we all sat around and filled out the initial B Corp assessment together, and they answered questions. And so I was looking at it earlier this morning, and I do know more than I thought I knew. So hopefully that will be useful. So the thing about it is that you go through like 5 sections of a bunch of questions, and by the end of it, you just want to hit your head up against the wall. And you know, that's what Alex and I were talking about. Like, all right, well, why don't we just sit here and schlep through some of this stuff together, and then we can help each other. Like, well, what did you answer for this, or how did you approach that? And you know, and then maybe we like the goal for today is to do that initial assessment, and you can do it on your phone. I did it on my phone at this other thing, and then we can walk away with like a couple of action items for ourselves, and maybe come up with like goals. And if we meet every month, we can just kind of track each other and be like, how did you, you know, work through this one thing or that thing or whatever the case may be.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Hello.
How does this work? Weird. So that being said, do you guys have questions that I can try to answer before we start taking the initial assessment? Yeah.
I just have a question about this meeting.
Yeah.
Is like everybody here looking to become independently B Corp certified?
I think that's the idea.
Yeah, and then also probably discuss it from an Indian.
I assume it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
My personal ambition is to find out more about it with regard to Indy Hall, and then figure out if we can't do every single step in the mission to become a B Corp, what can we do? And anything is better than.
Well, for example, I filled out an application the other day, and the one question they asked is, are you tracking who of your vendors are minority or women-owned? And we're not tracking that, though I know what it is. I'm just not writing it down, like figuring out what my sales are for each of those categories. So, you know, that would be like one thing that B Corp would also be interested in hearing that you're doing, so that you know, you're trying to enrich. So,
And I think that requires a certification too. Like, I think in the city that you have to be certified that you're a minority or woman-owned.
oh
I
yeah,
worked at Big Brothers Big Sisters. They said, like, oh yeah, it's woman-owned, but it's not certified. Like, they haven't actually gone through a process of the city, and so you might think that they are, but they may not be. So if it's just tracking, that's different from you have a goal and you have to spend 50% of your vendor costs.
Well, and that's interesting because so the like aspiration of B Corp certification is also something. So if you say we're working on it, we've completed such X% of it, people might know what that means, and then that's at least something that is a motivator and something for your customers to understand. And I'm saying your customers because I'm here as Snack Like a Local wanting to get Snack Like a Local B Corp certified. We just got our women's certification last week. That was like one of the most annoying things I've ever done, but this looks like it's 4 times as annoying. So, I'm like,
Great.
So I didn't officially go through that process, but yeah, we got
okay. That's cool.
I know a little bit.
Yeah. And then do you want to talk about it from the Indie Hall perspective?
Sure. I mean, I can think of 2 specific times, there may have been more times than that I actually opened up an account, said, I'm going to look at this, and got like not very far before I was discouraged by a question that I either didn't have an answer to, or in some cases, I had no idea where even to start with an answer. Mm-hmm. So I like the idea of having, like almost treating it like a iterative hackathon, where it's like this week or this month or whatever the iteration time frame is, like we're going to be working on this, and we know what it's going to be ahead of time, so we can say before we sit down, this is sort of the meta work that we need to do in order to do the work. That seems like the hardest part. None of the individual things are all that hard. They're sometimes tedious and annoying, but it's like at each step, it's like, what don't I have yet? Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of like, it's discouraging going through it. So having other people going through it or being like, oh, what if we did it this way? Or it's like, again, being able to figure it out together than just me sitting there and scratching my head and going, I'm sure we can answer this, but I'm not sure if there's an easier or better way.
Sure.
And another thing that we were talking about the other day after coffee was maybe there's an intermediate step of picking, like breaking it down into its component parts. And this I almost want to like feel like maybe this has been done before. Like, is there B Corp prep material out there? In the same way that you like go for any other
test? I think you might be surprised. So from what we did, and it was only a month ago, they like I logged in, and I mean I can see where it even gives you like a little star, so you can say this is something I want to work on like soon.
Yeah.
And so then you can go back and look at what are your like immediate things to work on, and it's kind of project manages it out for you a little bit better. So
and there's a couple consultant firms that work on helping get certified.
Yep.
That is
yeah. I'd love to help people. Is anybody doing like their own business trying to get B Corp certified, or is everybody here doing like the Indie Hall?
I started filling out the assessment 2.5 years ago, and then got stuck.
Okay.
So I'll fall back burner.
Yeah. Well, and you guys were ahead of me because I never even looked at it because it was just very daunting until a month ago when I put in a chair and said, cool. And so I say we try it. We try to like do the Indie Hall one, and then do you have your computer? Do you want to try to go through the initial assessment?
Let me pass on that because I was looking through my emails and I'm stuck trying to log into my previously started application.
Okay.
And 7 months ago they said they would offer me some help logging.
Okay. Well.
Friction comes in all kinds. Just to sort of.
I'm sorry. Is the assessment the same thing as there's something called a B impact assessment?
Yeah.
Okay.
The impact assessment is like a brief thing. It's like 1/3 of the full questionnaire. So that's what I'm proposing we do today, because I think that gives dips our toe in the water, and then we see like how far we can go with it. And then after that, I don't know what they suggest actually. Deanna, were you saying you have a friend with B Corp? That must be someone else. Somebody that might come and help us to take it to another level, but at least if we start going through the questions, then we can start to get an idea of what we need to do, and then I can talk to people over at SBN or some of these contacts to see like what do you recommend we do next, outside of just working on the things, because it is like track this thing that you're already doing, or do this thing that you're not doing, you know.
Do we want to do like a screen share up on the TV?
Oh, yeah.
And then that way also it's recorded for anyone who's maybe going to follow along later to sort of like catch up. I can do that.
That's great. I think, I mean, it's going to get into stuff like financial things and things.
Well, I might not be able to. I mean, even if it is, there's things that I can't do right now because I just don't have it handy. But I can mark it as like I'll go look that up.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think it does want you to answer the stuff, but you can change it later.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I also will need to find my previously started login. So rather than send us down that rabbit hole, maybe we start. Do we have like a clean application to start? You want to do that?
I realized since I already did it, we can. Well, maybe what we could do is we could go through my answers.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do that. That seems useful.
Okay. How do I screen share?
So if you go to.
And did everybody see their snacks here?
Oh, nice.
I did. They're up for grabs.
They are. Yep. There's some food.
Do you have Zoom installed on your computer?
I do.
So if you fire that up, and then there's a sharing key.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, I thought I did. Oh, there it is. It's not enough of me today. I think I just have the plug-in for the browser.
That's fine. You go to the share.zoom.us.
Oh. Is there a plug in here?
Yes.
Yep. Uh-oh. I think I'm with the plug. It's still installing Zoom.
You can do it. There we go. Awesome.
All right. So here's my dashboard. Right, so I completed the the best for PHL challenge. So that's the thing that they've been pushing people to complete. And that's the smaller thing that I finished. What's happening here?
Can you tell us who like awards the certification?
No, I really don't know. Because I thought they were their own independent thing up until SDN, like they partnered, I guess. So,
Yeah, I think
it's independent,
theirs.
right?
I think it's still them.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
have something called B Lab.
B Lab is the
Yes.
company.
Yeah, they B Lab is it, and they're the arbiters.
I like the idea of mispronouncing that. Lab. See, I don't know that it's useful to click through this stuff, but I mean, so like these are the questions that I answer, right? End of life, product component, reclamation.
The points earned is weird when you've got not applicable as an option. Like if you have no products.
They have a separate
They,
application for companies that are services.
Well, they've got yes, no, and NA, and it seems reasonable to say like if you're just services, then it's not applicable. I'm just thinking out loud that like if they've got a point system and you're saying it's not applicable.
Well, you can get more than 100% basically. If you literally could check everything, you get.
Sure, but if you need a certain percentage,
They might exclude it from like the denominator.
I would hope.
It's
But, like,
not a percentage, it's how many points you get.
Yeah.
Right, so that's why it bugs me a little bit to be like, I don't have products.
So like where was this? I was looking at this morning. So my report. So I've got 39.9. So everything I filled out brought me to that, and it's not a percentage. It's out of a certain amount of things. So the more things that I complete, and I'm just adding to my points, right? And so then I guess maybe you need to get to 80.
Yeah.
So I need to get 40.1 more points in order to get the certification. And they also you have to prove all of that stuff too. So I think actually, I'm trying to pull up, I want to just make like a takeaway list here. So, and I think you're right, Deanna. I think that it depends on what your business type is for products and services. And then, what was I going to ask? Then how do they verify? So yeah, and I'll follow up with any questions that we come out of here with and ask them. So like governance, man, I'm doing terrible in governance. Well, so this is what you get after you fill out that initial,
They give you a score.
the initial thing, right? And yeah.
What were some of the, I guess it's two questions. What were some of the more difficult things to answer?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe what were some of the things that you were surprised were even questions like total curveballs for you? Maybe not necessarily difficult, but like, oh, I wasn't really prepared for that.
I mean, I think the surprises were definitely in regards to like what benefits do you have for your employees to get to work? You know, like how are you engaging in that way? Like, so the real surprise was just how intricate it got with what you could be doing,
I got you.
and that really made like I thought a great checklist, because even if you're not getting B Corp certified, you're still improving everything about your business by doing any of it, you know. And I think that's like the big thing that I took away from it is, yeah, it's a little miserable if you're trying to look at the whole game, but if you look at it as little pieces. And I'm not very good with memory and specifics. So.
Well, one question is like all your employees to your company show up by bike, public transit, or walking. Like it gets
Yeah.
All of them?
all of them. And you only go to meetings and go to work by not driving your car. Something like that.
And then, yeah, like if you have vehicles as part of your business, that's another thing. Well, and that was hard for me to answer because we use a courier service to do our delivery. So that's a thing that I'm then going to need to talk to this third party about.
Right.
And work with them to, see what we can do there. But yeah, like using electric vehicles for your company and things like that, that's where it can get super complicated. Are you trying to get logged in?
Yes.
Because I kind of think, so like, what I was saying about those little stars on each thing, oh, the improvement report, that's probably where it is. It's the things that I said that I wanted to work on next. Because some of them were like, oh, that's so obvious. I could do that so easily. And, simple things with recycling or, I can't remember exactly. That's why I use that stars. Oh, here's a great example. Formal process to share financial information with the full-time employees. We don't have that. I'm not hiding anything. I have no reason not to share that. I just haven't done it. So it's just a matter of like making a formal process to do that, right? And and then it opens up the transparency to your employees, and I think that's a great thing. So yeah, this is like the list of the things I said I want to do. Does the company publicly share information on its social and or environmental performance? If so, how? Yeah, that's something like I would kind of want to research and see, well, yeah, how can we do that? What would be information that our customers would like to see, our vendors would like to see? And I would probably do that by polling people, but it's just a matter of doing that. Oh, the company with the healthcare plans, yeah. We haven't started the healthcare plan yet. Additional benefits, dental, short-term, disability, long-term, structured account for HSA, domestic partners. So yeah, I mean, it's just asking all specific. And so that's where, like, as far as Indy Hall getting certified, right, like that's kind of, I mean, I don't know how transparent Indy Hall wants to be, right, like, as to what the benefits are for Adam and Sam, or, the people who work directly for Indy Hall versus, this is where, versus like what the community can do in terms of, making the, like the building B Corp ready, or recycling and things like that. Percentage of positions entry level filled with internal candidates is completely irrelevant. I have 2 employees. Owned by full-time workers who are non-executive. I've been working on doing profit sharing, so this is something that I have there that I'm looking at.
And so you have a little star in the top, a little star and a bookmark. Star is like, this is something I want to work on. Mark improvement, mark question. Okay.
Yeah. So right now, I don't think I'm changing this list because I'm just looking at it.
This is markedly different from the last time I looked at it.
Okay.
Even just being able to like create a collection of like, okay, that's the thing I'm gonna be. I want to come back to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was like, well, I was in the middle of it, and I was like, I don't even know how to get back to it later.
Right.
What is that? So the question, I think looking at the top, this is a question difficulty thing as well. It's like,
oh,
that's kind of interesting.
green building standards.
I wonder what they mean by
So yeah, we warehouse at Common Market, and so they've done that. That's great.
Got it.
Do you think, is it difficulty as in like how hard is it to pull this off, or how hard it is to answer the question?
Yeah.
Oh.
What do you get? So in that one, go back to explain this in that one, for instance.
Oh. LEED certified, yeah. I mean, it's just ugly. But this is the kind of thing, right, where you go through the assessment and then you compile a list for the people who run the building.
Got it.
And then you ask them, right?
Yep.
But then they're gonna oh, they won't. Like, oh, thanks, Alex.
What's the local minimum wage?
Let's see.
I'll find out.
Less than that.
725.
Yeah, they get into wages and things. It's,
The unlivable wage.
yeah.
Yeah, and like childcare.
Oh.
Childcare for your employees is something.
Yeah. Well, so since my employees don't have kids, can I just say I offer childcare?
For everyone.
I would let them come in there,
Yeah.
Did you know there's a calculator for what the living wage would be in Philadelphia or any county?
There is?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's livingwage.mit.edu. It's just by number of adults and children in the family, what would be considered a living wage.
Oh, the house. Sorry. That's good.
Like for a particular city.
Yeah.
Yeah. For Philadelphia, 1 adult, 1 child is $24.90 an hour.
1 adult, 1 child,
That's a living wage.
$25.90 an hour.
Yep.
And the minimum wage is $7.25.
So only
So I can do that.
three.
That's that's assuming they're working full time.
Yes.
2,000 hours a year.
That's crazy. Even if 2 individuals who are working full time, it's still only $14.50.
Welcome to America.
2 individuals each working 2 full-time jobs.
At the
The minimum wage would be a living wage. But the same thing calculates the poverty wage for that area, for the same area. So that's 7 an hour.
7 an hour.
What's this poverty wage?
I think it's the minimum wage that you need to be above the poverty line.
Which would be defined as somewhat.
They calculate it based on,
20% of earners or something like that, or
I don't know what it is in the States, right, in the US right now, and it's like calculated based on census data and
but
data.
it's based on
stuff
like
that.
quartiles.
So
It
as I
has
go
nothing
through
to
here,
do
I'm
with like
seeing like what I think are my
you could
biggest
do anything
ones.
meaningful
Do you
with
know
this
what yours
kind of
are?
money, right? I
Or-
think.
Yeah,
Not
it's usually
without
based on
You
like
wanna do,
the cost of
like,
living
your
based on
goal for
basket
the
of
next
goods, like
month?
based on
To like
a
go
certain
through the
the
first
assessment.
version.
Yeah.
That's what I should
basket of
probably do.
goods.
And then
And
Okay.
we can reconvene.
depends on- I don't know how the
like, how
US
interesting this is
calculates
gonna be for
it,
people
like
who
what
aren't
the poverty
like,
line is,
for the
but-
business.
Right.
It'd be
Right.
like average
I'm gonna
rent
pitch
for a
one
decent
more thing in the picture.
standard
Um,
living house.
But
Cost per-
Cost
Well,
of
and it seems like I can
food, cost of
start with the
housing.
best of PHL challenge.
Yeah,
Just
that's
so
what
like,
So it's like a basic
localized
basket
run
of
start.
goods, and I don't know if
get
they
through as much of
calculate
that
it
as
in the
I
US
can.
based on
Maybe
like
find my stick
urban,
points and then
rural,
come back and be
or
like, here's the
anything
stuff I was
further, if
stuck
it's
on.
just US
How
based.
can we
So
divide
pretty
and conquer,
much the-
or does anybody have any good ideas for how we can do
So like
this,
the
or
amount of,
that sort of thing?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's based on.
And yeah, so what I'm gonna do, my goal for
I
this
feel like
month
it's based on
is gonna be to
something
go
other than
through
the percentages,
mine and
'cause they don't want it to be
prioritize
fixed.
the ones that rose to the
The-
top for me.
I mean, just looking at this calculator, it's a
We can
little
meet back and like
interesting
scratch
that
each other's
the
back.
poverty
Yeah.
wage are calculated as even dollar numbers, so it's
Mhm.
always like $5, $7, $9, $11, which is telling me that's like
rounded.
what it is rounded. I mean, why that's rounded and the other numbers aren't, I'm not sure.
Poverty threshold.
So Megan and I were just talking in terms of like making sure that this is like productive and useful, and giving us a jumping off point, because I don't really have a jumping off point for Indie Hall related stuff without at least going through like this best of PHL challenge thing. So if I set the goal for a month from now, having gone through as much of that as I can, making some notes about where I get stuck, but also like what are things that would be worth, like just like picking these are things that we want to do. Other things that we can brainstorm, either the way to solve the problem or to improve the mark or even just to answer the question if I don't know how yet. Because otherwise, like, we're looking at it going, I think looking at how you've answered it is helpful, just in terms of seeing what kinds of questions are in it. But again, being like probably for a good year and a half, 2 years since I've looked at it, and they've clearly improved the tool quite a bit. I think it makes more sense for me to have like something in progress for us to look at, rather than just try and fill out the form together. That doesn't sound like fun or useful.
Well, and this is a good example, this question, because like no formal life cycle study exists. It's not that, you know, you're not doing it, it's just not, you know, so it's not that it's not applicable. I think you can finish the assessment. I think that's the long and short of what's happened now.
Yeah.
You guys think?
I was going to say, I still think it's useful just as like a primer to look through at certain questions, just to get a feel for what kind of things are.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. I completely agree.
Let's look at what do they consider easy?
Very good question.
Recycling program. Company-wide recovery and recycling. Well, this is actually a good segue. So something I want to mention, because it does impact Indy Hall, is that we've been talking to TerraCycle. Does anybody know this company? So they offer a bunch of things that are just exorbitant, like $100 for this box to put your wrappers in, and then you can ship them off, right? If you look into it. So I talked to them about their pallet size, though. So the pallet, and we have a huge warehouse, so we could totally do this, is $1,100 for 21,000 wrappers, for snack wrappers. And so looking at, you know, like looking for partners, and if anybody knows anybody who wants to maybe partner on, you know, like hacking this, we've got the distribution method already happening. I'm going to talk to Ray about if we could get something in here, and then maybe talk to some of our locations, and then start to, you know, it's really going to come down to, I think, about 10 cents a piece to, you know, fully recycle. Because the thing I hate the most about this business is these wrappers, right? You know, it's like crazy that amount that we're producing from just that. So if anybody's interested in working on that with me, or knows anybody, like Ben, if you're trying to find a way to recycle.
I went through the process with them for Fat Coffee, and the issue is that they would want us to wash each individual packet before sending it back to them.
They would?
I sent them samples. They did an evaluation that like our machinery's not gonna clean these of the residue.
Okay.
So yeah,
I didn't think about that.
Really, the next thing on the agenda for
chips
Fat
were
Coffee is
okay.
packaging that is recyclable, because they do make bags that are like Tetra Pak style, cardboard on the outside, foil on the inside.
You looking at using those?
Yeah, I just know that it's like it won't be until we're co-manufacturing 100,000 units at a time.
Okay. I've got more leads on co-packers.
What is it with the machinery that you can't take? You know, a little bit of it.
So the issue is that the packets that are these the same? Those are probably the same thing. It's metal on the inside, it's foil on the inside, and it's plastic on the outside. So I don't know what they do. I think they just grind it up and turn it into like building material, basically.
Yeah.
Make park benches out of it. So it's got to be washed. It's got to be clean.
Because if they're going to melt it down, it becomes something else.
Or if they're just going to take it and grind it into fine little pellets and then like compress it into building bricks, which is I think something that they do, it has to be relatively clean.
Well, and then something else that could be relevant is that the zero waste, like trying to work on zero waste. I don't know. Because you guys are all assembled here for. Is anyone working on that stuff personally?
Zero waste? Can you explain zero waste?
Yeah, it's like not having any waste. People are like crazy. There's this lady, she's got 3 kids and a husband, and they produce 1 mason jar of trash every year because they're buying everything in bulk, they're doing everything. It can get a little neurotic, but there are definite steps like buying in bulk, or like groups getting together and ordering food together, or, you know, I mean, it's a pretty nerdy aspiration.
Dining entirely on cats that you caught in the wild.
You too?
Yeah.
I have tried to reduce my plastic bag usage to 0, which is easy, actually.
Plastic bags are easy.
Carrying your own bags, and then like when you go to the supermarket, using like fabric bags for produce
Oh, do you
and
have
stuff
that?
like that. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I stopped using produce bags, and it's not a good thing because the stuff goes bad quicker.
Yeah, they make really nice mesh bags that keep stuff good in the fridge.
Yeah.
And cotton bags.
There is also, I ran into them because they were pitching at a conference I was at, and basically what they're selling is like waxed cotton sheets.
The beeswax?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
That you wrap stuff in.
It's kind of
I use that
expensive
stuff
now.
too. It is
Do you use
expensive,
them?
but
Are they
you can
good
ma-
though?
You can make your own.
Yeah, that's what I've been looking at.
And
I
it's
just have
really
to
easy to
actually
make
do
your
it.
own.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, we're
expensive.
actually
They are good though.
Philly Green Guild, this Facebook group that we're
I
talking
joined it.
about. Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah, we're talking about doing like either a compost or DIY workshop or the beeswax.
I've been on a 2-year-long mission to try to reduce
Oh, cool.
my non-recyclable
Okay.
usage of stuff
Excuse me, my non-B Corp calls.
and chemical usage and stuff like that.
Yeah. Cool. There you go.
There's a company that's going to be here with us next week, 1 week from today. They're called Simply Good Jars, and they make salads, and they're going to.
I'm gonna talk to them. Yeah.
They're going to do like a tasting for us on Friday, next Friday, and they're B Corp. They're pursuing B Corp status, or I guess certification.
See that? Pursuing B Corp cert.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. Yeah, and I think part of that is like a zero waste program with their project.
Those jars, right?
Yeah. Although I don't know how often like zero waste program actually equates to truly zero waste. But,
Yeah, I don't know how they recycle those jars. But aren't you trying to get them at the store?
Yeah,
Is it-
we were talking about that the other day. The challenge is that wholesale, they're very expensive. I don't think the neighborhood is going to support like a $12 jar of salad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there may be, I don't know. Just talk about it.
Yeah.
They have a refrigerator in the store.
You get like subscribers who understood why this is important, but
Yeah. And
Yeah.
did you just say this? Like the whole thing is that like if you subscribe, they come around and pick up the jars?
yeah, they treat it like back in the day when you would order milk from a milkman and you enjoy it and put out the empty jar and then get it.
Which makes so much sense because I've seen them in the kitchen in West Philly, and they're washing and sanitizing all those jars anyway before they pack them, so it's not even an extra step.
When they bring the fridge, they're going to start making, right now it's a Venmo trust system, and they're going to have their own, like that credit card swipe thing.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind having a thing in the store that people who subscribed went to pick it up. That would work. It's just that, like, to sell a salad for $12 that we had bought for $8 or somewhere in between just not going to make sense. Yeah.
well, there's so much delivery services now, like so many other options for stuff. So yeah, I think large companies is really their market at this point. Maybe here. What time is that next Friday?
They're going to be here around noon, lunchtime.
Okay. Cool. I think we have some good next steps. Like we'll schedule another thing, and then maybe we'll have Alex's screen on the thing next time, and kind of go through some like the top level stuff, and then it'll be more of a like hackathon at that point. Sweet.
I'm never taking this.
What does tenured employee mean? Do you have any idea in the context of this
You
assessment?
can't fire them.
Yeah, it's not in their opinion. It's like you have to find good reasons to fire them. Basically, they can stay there like Supreme Court judges.
I think it's like sometimes you have like a 3-month probation or something. Like you don't get benefits, you don't get anything until you don't get vacation days until 3 months. Maybe you're tenured.
All I know
This
is that
an extra
that movie
level.
Summer School. That's where I learned that word tenure. Like, because he was about to get tenure, but he had to work summer school so he could get his tenure.
Yeah.
It was really scientific.
Gym teacher.
Like high intellectual. I'm probably turning red now.
raining quite a lot.
Oh, no.
Horrible.
Instead of 20% chance of rain.
It looks like 100 right now.
But when it rains that hard,
Cool. Thanks for calling this, Meg.
Yeah, thanks for, like all of the above, because I would not touch this thing with a 10-foot pole myself at this point. After getting women certified, I'm like, all right, I'm not working on any certifications for like a year, and then town hall, it just all naturally came up. I'm like, all right, we'll do it.
before you guys leave, I'm doing a Qigong workshop at 3:15. If anybody's interested in checking it out, then you can come over and hang out.
What?
Qigong.
Oh,
It's like Chinese yoga. Type of thing.
Probably enough time for me to go and feed my meter.
good luck.
No. I started to drive, well, because I want to buy some plants, and I'm thinking about my car.
Where do you go?
Well, there's this plant group on Facebook.